Hey guys, this is Russian Plus, and in this video we're going to talk about St. Petersburg. It's the second largest city in Russia, with a population of 5.3 million people. It was the imperial capital for 2 centuries, having been founded in 1703 by Peter the Great. Culturally, historically, and architecturally, it's the most European city in Russia. Sometimes they call it the Northern Venice for its multiple canals and rivers. It's a northern city. It actually has the same latitude as southern Alaska. It is situated on the Neva River at the head of the Gulf of Finland on the Baltic Sea. What makes this city so popular? Well, it's really close to Europe. It's just 3 hours by car or train and you're in Finland. In fact, many residents of St. Petersburg go to Finland for the weekend, fishing or shopping. The city is well taken care of. It's clean. The roads are in great shape, and did you know that St. Petersburg has sandy beaches? It's places like this that you come to after a working day that make you want to fall in love with St. Petersburg. Wow, I never expected St. Petersburg to have such a nice beach. Look, some people go swimming, even though it's kind of chilly outside. Actually, this place reminds me of Brighton Beach, New York. But it's real Russia though. If it wasn't for the short summer, it could have been a real resort city. Some people go swimming, although officially it's not allowed. Many Russians come here to get education. There are some great universities here, like St. Petersburg State University. The city is always action-packed. It is a lot easier to find things to do here than in a smaller town. You love culture? Well, there's so many theaters here. The Mariinsky Theater, a historic theater of opera and ballet, opened in 1860. In the center, there are endless street musicians on every corner, street artists. The central part of the city is like a huge museum. Even the back streets, so many hidden gems, like this inner yard where several Russian movies were filmed. Winter Cherry and Gangster St. Petersburg, just to name a few. The architecture will keep surprising you. Even if you've lived here for a number of years, you'll always come across new outstanding buildings with luxurious interiors and exteriors. There's no shortage of parks here either, where you can sit on the grass with your friends. This park has a beautiful name. It's called Field of Mars. It's a huge park, 22 acres. Looks absolutely stunning from above. If this wasn't enough to make it exciting for you, there are 342 bridges over canals and rivers. But don't get the impression it's just old buildings we're talking about. When it comes to modern infrastructure, St. Petersburg has something to surprise you as well. It has some of the best roads in Russia. Just look at this masterpiece of a highway. It's called Western Speed Diameter. It's a toll road that stretches for 46 kilometers. Over the water, going up and down. Wow. First time I was driving on it, I felt like a kid riding a roller coaster. You'll be going for 46 kilometers above the Gulf of Finland with a perfect view of the city. Of course, it was not cheap to build this. $7 billion to be exact. Did you know that the tallest skyscraper in Russia and in the whole of Europe is located in St. Petersburg? Yes, it's called the Lachta Center. It's an 87-story, 462-meter high skyscraper. This is the tallest building in Europe and the 13th tallest in the world. When it comes to public transportation, subway is what you want to focus on. So I just bought a token. It costs 45 rubles. That's less than $1. St. Petersburg subway was opened in 1955. It has 5 lines and 69 stations. Daily ridership is 2 million people, which is 3 times less than in Moscow. The city's in desperate need of more stations, but they only opened one in several years. Compare that to 17 stations they opened in 1 year in Moscow. St. Petersburg used to have the longest network of trams, but not anymore.
So St. Petersburg used to have the longest tram line in the world.
There are also regular buses and electric buses. And recently they've added car sharing options. That's what I was using.
Just downloaded this car sharing thing, and I'll see if this app works. Okay, so I've chosen this car. It's a Skoda Rapid. So it's supposed to be very fast. I'm going to be driving around St. Petersburg from now on.
It's really convenient. Toll roads are free of charge and plenty of parking for you all over the city, even in the central park. Surprisingly, there are still lots of Russian and Soviet cars in the city. Even in my hometown of Yekaterinburg, you won't see so many of them. Of course, the city is known for its drawbridges. You can go on a night boat trip along the Neva and watch the drawbridges open and close. There's always thousands of spectators along the banks of the river watching this. And while this may be entertaining for the tourists, for the locals it's actually an inconvenience. What are the local people like? Well, the locals here are pretty different. The stereotype is that they're more creative, they're less in a hurry, they're less driven by monetary gains, and they're more focused on creating something. The city is full of surprises. You'll always be stumbling upon cool places like this island. It's called New Holland. It's a historic, triangular, artificial island dating from the 18th century. There's a great choice of restaurants from Japanese to Georgian cuisines, and you'll always find something to do.
You think we're in the Netherlands? No, we're still in St. Petersburg. There's so many different places to go to. This particular place is called Novaya Zelandia, or New Holland. And in the wintertime, this whole place becomes a huge skating rink. Needless to say, there are lots of options to eat, to walk, and to sit in the grass. Man, I'm in love with St. Petersburg.
Of course, St. Petersburg is famous for its white nights, which last from middle June till early July. It's a time when the city doesn't sleep at all. It never gets completely dark at this time, but it's the busiest time when it comes to tourism. St. Petersburg is growing fast. New neighborhoods are popping up all over the city. But in the center, you have lots of old apartment buildings. Do you want to see what those old buildings look on the inside? Well, let's take a look. If you want to find something more affordable and comfortable, you'll have to be looking at the newer neighborhoods. And looking at them makes you wonder, where did all those people live before? But new neighborhoods have problems too. Commercial developers only care about making a profit, so parking spaces and walking areas are not a big concern to them. You'll be surprised, but a lot of these old buildings in the center stay empty. Just like in Venice, a lot of them have been sold, and the investors are sitting around not doing anything, or sometimes they're turning these properties into hotels and hostels. Many buyers actually come from China. Sometimes they're buying whole blocks of buildings. Just to give you an estimate, prices can reach $8,000 per square meter, depending on how central it is. This house on Millionaire Street is actually for sale. Together with another house, the starting price is $55 million. So if you possess this kind of money, you can turn it into a modern-day palace and live like a king in the very center of St. Petersburg. But what are the downsides of living in St. Petersburg? I know what you're thinking, weather, right? The stereotype is that St. Pete is rainy all the time. Well, it's not actually true. It doesn't rain here any more often than it does in Moscow, and actually 3 times less than in Sochi. The problem with the weather is that they don't get a lot of sunny days here, just 75 sunny days in a year. On top of that, it's windy and very humid. Long winters with no sunshine can make you feel depressed, that's true. Summer temperatures are comfortable though, about 20 to 25 Celsius, sometimes 30. Winters don't get a lot of snow. Sometimes the snow melts right when it lands, and this makes your shoes wear out faster. Sometimes a pair of shoes will not last more than one season. What about the salaries? Though you would expect the salaries to be high, it's not the case. It's actually pretty disappointing to learn that the average salary is just about $600 to $800 a month, but that's officially. But regular positions like retail and customer service is not going to give you more than $500 a month. How are you going to survive on $500 a month in a city like St. Petersburg? Well, it's tough. A lot of people are finding it very hard to make ends meet. One of the most famous plants in the city is the Kirov plant. It's a major Russian machine-building manufacturing plant that was established in 1789. Of course, if you want to live a comfortable life in the center of the city, you have to be making a lot more than the average. I think making about $2,000 to $3,000 a month will provide you with a pretty comfortable lifestyle. They say that ambitious people go to Moscow, and creative people come to St. Petersburg in search of inspiration. People love throwing parties in the old apartments, dating on the rooftops. In fact, rooftops are so popular, they even offer rooftop tours. Did you know that there are golf courses around St. Petersburg? Yes, you can play golf here.
So apparently there are golf fields around St. Petersburg, something I did not expect to see. But yeah, along the wide birch trees you can play golf. I guess it's popular. Wonderful.
The locals are crazy about soccer or football. The local team is called Zenit. It is sponsored by Gazprom. Football club Zenit was founded in 1925. The club plays in the Russian Premier League. They've been the champions of the Russian Premier League many times. It seems like Soviet style is still pretty popular around here. You'll stumble upon restaurants called stolovaya, which means a canteen, a term used in the Soviet era. Buloshnaya, like a bakery, and multiple Lenin statues. Is St. Petersburg safe for foreigners? In the 1990s, there were a lot of attacks on foreigners. There were skinhead gangs, and the situation was ugly. Now, it's safe. Even at night, all I met was happy drunks. There's lots of police and lots of foreigners, and it's really safe. Actually, did you know that if you come in here on a cruise ship, you can stay in the city for 72 hours without a visa? Pretty convenient, huh? A big part of the city's life is now tourism. Let's take a look at some of the major sites. The main avenue of the city is Nevsky Prospect. Today it has become an endless flow of people. It's 4.5 kilometers long. It's an avenue lined with historic landmarks and magnificent architecture, pulsing with activity 24/7. This beautiful building is called Singer House. In Russia, it's also known as the House of the Book. It's located at the intersection of Nevsky Prospect and the Griboyedov Canal. It serves as the headquarters of the VK, which is a Russian equivalent of Facebook. Its founder and CEO, Pavel Durov, had to flee Russia in 2014 to escape prosecution as he refused to cooperate with the Russian authorities on giving out user information at their demand. It was from this building that Pavel Durov was throwing 5,000 ruble bills into the crowd in 2010 on a City Day celebration. And 5,000 rubles is about $100. He has no plans of returning to Russia, and he's actually the founder and the developer of the Telegram Messenger. Another awesome building on the Nevsky Avenue is the Kazan Cathedral. It's right across from the Singer building. From Nevsky Avenue, you can see Church of the Savior on spilled blood, sitting on the banks of the Griboyedov Canal, erected on the site where political opposition fatally wounded Emperor Alexander II in March 1881. A lot of people see the resemblance of the Savior on the spilled blood with St. Basil's Cathedral in Moscow. It's richly decorated. The church is topped with colorful onion domes, just like in Moscow. But unfortunately, it seems like it's always under some form of renovation. At the end of the Nevsky Avenue, you'll see Admiralty Building. It's the former headquarters of the Imperial Russian Navy and the current headquarters of the modern Russian Navy. To the right of Admiralty Building is the main square of the city, Palace Square, which is included in the UNESCO World Heritage. Palace Square is the central city square of St. Petersburg and of the former Russian Empire. Many significant events took place here, including the Bloody Sunday Massacre in 1905, when unarmed, peaceful demonstrators were fired upon by soldiers of the Imperial Guard as they were coming to the Winter Palace to present a petition to Tsar Nicholas II. That's where the nickname came, Nicholas the Bloody. And even some events from the October Revolution of 1917 were taking place on this square. And today, it's on this square that they install the main Christmas tree in the city. The Alexander Column is the focal point of the square. This monument was raised after the Russian victory in the war with Napoleon's France. This building, of course, is the Winter Palace. It was the official residence of the Russian emperors from 1732 to 1917. Winter Palace is huge. It's sitting on 22 acres of land and consists of 1,500 rooms. Part of the Winter Palace is the Hermitage Museum. The State Hermitage Museum is the second largest art museum in the world. It was founded in 1764. They say it's so big that if you look at every picture or exhibit just for 30 seconds, it's going to take you about 20 years to finish the collection. This beautiful building is called St. Isaac's Cathedral. Today it functions as a museum, and you can visit the museum itself or buy a ticket to get on top and get a wonderful view of the surroundings, because it's one of the tallest buildings in the area.
What a beautiful place. So many people sitting on the grass. In 2017, the recent history is that the governor of St. Petersburg wanted to transfer it back to the Russian Orthodox Church. But luckily, this was not accomplished due to the protests by the citizens of St. Petersburg. So now we can all enjoy it.
If you have the time to travel outside of the city, you should visit Peterhof. It's just outside of the city, about 40-minute drive or about an hour boat trip. It's a seafront museum complex and former royal palace surrounded by parks known for its many fountains. It is absolutely fascinating, and if you decide to visit, just know that it's going to take you several hours to see it all. Cruiser Aurora. I remember this song from my childhood. What is it that you're dreaming about, Cruiser Aurora, when the sun rises above the Neva River? Today it's a floating museum, but it used to be a warship. It's a warship that has a history of service in the Russian-Japanese War, Revolution of 1917, and the Second World War. This cruiser survived the Battle of Tsushima and was entered under US protection in the Philippines and eventually returned to the Baltic Fleet. Kunstkamera. It's a museum of anthropology and ethnography, with architectural collections from Russia and worldwide. The medical oddities like dead babies and parts of human bodies might be somewhat disturbing to some, so be warned, but 90% of the exhibition is about cultures from around the globe. The Peter and Paul Fortress is the original citadel of St. Petersburg, built in 1703. It was used as a political prison for some time, and even in the early 1920s, it was still used as a prison and execution ground by the Bolshevik government. A lot of people admire Peter the Great, saying that he brought Russia into the modern age. And that's kind of true. During his time, he built Russia's first real navy. He won a series of military victories, and he moved the capital from Moscow to St. Petersburg. However, By today's standards, he was still a monster. He killed his own son. He locked up his wife in a monastery after he fell out of love with her and married another woman. And then, when he found out that his ex-wife was seeing someone, he tortured her lover to death. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Speaking about prisons, one of the most famous prisons in the city is called Kresti, which means crosses. The prison consists of two cross-shaped buildings and an Orthodox church. The history of this prison starts in the 1730s. This Kresti prison is mentioned many times in different Russian songs and movies. If you decided to go a little bit outside of the city, you might as well visit this city called Kronstadt. It's a town and a naval base on the Kotlin Island, just west of St. Petersburg. It is dotted with military memorials. There are also beaches and cozy parks.
We have come to the city of Kronstadt, which is part of St. Petersburg. And we are on the beach right now. The weather is perfect. It's the end of August. And you can see how much we've driven. You see that huge tower in the distance? Maybe you can see that. Well, that's how much we've driven. Enjoying this wonderful town. We're about to see some fortifications. You know, this island used to belong to Sweden until Peter I took it from them by some shady maneuvers. But good for us, now it's Russia.
There is also this beautiful naval cathedral. When we came there was a TV crew that was filming some low-budget TV show.
You guys see how much equipment I'm carrying to shoot my videos? And a whole production crew. It costs money.
It doesn't come as a surprise that there are lots of foreign tourists in St. Petersburg today.
So what's your name?
So my name is Swapnil.
And where do you come from?
So I came from Singapore, and this is my first time in St. Petersburg, and I would say that I'm really mesmerized by the beauty of this place and actually entire Russia. Great beautiful architecture around and beautiful churches around.
Okay, thank you, and enjoy your stay.
Thank you very much.
Now, if you don't mind, let me do a little bit of complaining. First thing I want to complain about is the restrooms. You come into Peter and Paul Fortress, Peterhof. Those are magnificent places that are supposed to be luxurious. But then you gotta use a restroom, you know? And then you find yourself in this pathetic mobile restroom. And it's just in such a dismal state that I don't even want to try to describe. And they're charging you money for this poor experience. I feel like the city of St. Petersburg can't afford to build decent restroom facilities for tourists. Another complaint is that many tourist places become tourist traps, which is understandable. But look at these guys dressed as queen and king. They're smiling and pretending to be happy if you give them just $1. But if you don't, they turn away. You can feel how much they're not interested in their job. And this guy singing songs with a guitar, he doesn't let you listen to the song without pointing to the money box every 30 seconds. Now let's ask the people on the street what they think about the city.
Итак, привет. А вы откуда?
Из Москвы.
А что вам в Питере нравится? Почему сюда приезжаете?
О, так, ну здесь очень здорово, здесь другая атмосфера, не такая, как в Москве. Мне почему-то очень нравится.
А в чем она другая?
Не знаю, улицы по-другому как-то выглядят, я не знаю. Другие улицы, да, здесь каналы, здесь какой-то другой темп. Нет суеты. В общем, другая атмосфера совсем, и мне почему-то ближе. Хотя я родилась в Москве, мне ближе почему-то Питер.
Ну, спасибо, хорошего отдыха.
Спасибо.
Вас как зовут?
Денис.
Вы давно в Питере живете?
Месяц.
Месяц?
Она месяц.
Отлично. Можно, скажем так, 3 вещи, которые нравятся в Питере, и, может быть, 3, какие не очень нравятся?
Давай.
Архитектура,
Ага.
недорогое проживание,
Да.
много людей.
Вау.
А мне нравится.
А
Мне
минусы
нравится.
есть какие?
Дождь. Ну все, наверное, я пока еще не нашла.
Понятно. Откуда сами?
Из Томска.
Отлично. Спасибо.
Спасибо.
Хорошего дня. Как вас зовут?
Меня зовут Андрей.
Очень приятно. А давно вы живете в Питере?
Всю жизнь.
Как интересно. Какие 3 плюса назовете города?
Пьющие, рефлексирующие, интеллигенты.
Минусы?
Нету.
Нету. Погода?
Прекрасная.
Прекрасно всегда. Что-то добавите?
Нет.
Спасибо.
Мир всем. Отлично.
Вас как зовут?
Павел.
Сколько лет живете в Петербурге?
Всю жизнь, 26 лет.
Всю жизнь. Хорошо. Про город скажите 3 плюса основных, на ваше мнение.
Ну, город очень красивый, у него богатая, насыщенная история. И всегда есть какие-то места, куда можно сходить. То есть и музеи, очень интересно все. Даже учитывая, что живешь уже столько лет, привыкаешь к этому, но все равно разнообразие и какой-то коллаж остается.
А какое любимое место?
Ой, их много очень на самом деле. Тут выбрать что-то одно тяжело.
Хорошо. И тогда 3 минуса, если они есть.
3 минуса. Ну, если только непредсказуемая погода, постоянные дожди, бывает, если какие-то, не знаю, много снега тает, бывает, затапливает, это, наверное, единственное, что могу сказать.
Хорошо.
Да. А так, в принципе, прекрасный город.
Согласен. Все,
Всё,
здорово.
до свидания, пожалуйста.
Так, его мы не будем спрашивать.
Культурный город.
Как вас зовут?
Анастасия.
Вас?
Наталья.
Сколько вы лет живете в Петербурге?
8. Год.
Какие 3 основных плюса у города, на ваш взгляд?
Очень красивая архитектура, много знакомых людей. Проще найти работу.
Понятно.
Надо подумать.
А из какого вы города?
Из Воронежа. Я из Сибири. Я даже не знаю, просто шумный город и хочется также двигаться в этом же ритме просто.
Если какие-то минусы есть, какие?
Минусы. Сначала казалось, что погода, но скорее это плюс, потому что когда слишком жарко, ужасно. Поэтому в целом нет никаких. Погода изменилась, поэтому минусов нет.
Все, спасибо, хорошего дня.
Спасибо. Пока.
А как вас зовут?
Владимир.
А вы откуда?
Тюмень.
Очень приятно. А вы здесь отдыхать приехали?
Нет, я учусь здесь.
А, ну почти местный. Какие 3 плюса у города есть?
Большое, много развлечений. Не знаю, третий не могу найти. Ну, университет, наверное, хороший.
А минусы какие?
Люди. Ну, просто большой трафик, много людей. Да и все, в принципе. Ну, погоду еще можно в минус отнести.
Что, добавите?
Все.
Все, спасибо.
Спасибо большое.
Как вас зовут?
Станислав.
Давно вы живете в Санкт-Петербурге?
Очень.
Какие 3 плюса города основные выделите?
В хорошую погоду это самый лучший город на Земле. Здесь есть выбор театров и музеев, выставок, на которые мы очень любим ходить. И, не знаю, я чувствую себя ближе к Европе.
Если какие-то минусы есть, какие назовете?
Это погода, это влажность и это полигоны ТБО, свалки.
Понятно. Хорошо, спасибо.
Пожалуйста.
Хорошего дня.
So, to sum things up, if you want to live in St. Pete, it's not as hectic as Moscow. The weather's not the best. They say if you live here long enough, you'll be able to distinguish 50 shades of gray. That's the color that the city stays in for 6 months in a year. Cloudy and humid. Salaries are low. If all of that does not scare you away, then you might as well fall in love with the city. So, everybody, welcome to St. Petersburg. I had a wonderful time here, and I'm pretty sure that you will too.